Episode 130, Joel Fleischman Happy Hour Podcast. We have Nick Kreif from NJK Construction with us today. Nick, thanks for joining. Doughboy.
Cheers. Thanks for having me.
Nick, thanks for joining.
You saw if you listened to Herd 129, you know we're drinking the Plank Road Distillery single malt from Plymouth, Wisconsin.
How is it?
I think it actually ain't horrible. I thought I was going to hate it.
No, it's smooth. It's good. And I'm not like Captain Bourbon guy, but it's pretty good.
Plymouth. That's good.
Yeah, local.
Very good.
So Nick,
It is
thanks.
good. It's smooth, isn't it?
That's good.
Thanks for joining. You're on episode 52 already, but that was obviously a little while ago. So,
If you're a huge Doughboy fan, go back-to-back episodes,
Exactly,
52
yes.
and 130.
100%.
Still out there on all formats?
Yes, all formats.
Spotify and everywhere else.
Apple, wherever you get your podcast.
I noticed Joe Rogan said that today, Spotify and everywhere else. I'm like, that's pretty good.
Yeah,
At least we know who Doughboy is now. So we had to go through that last week.
100%. I guess, can you kind of talk about...
Tattoo on your left bicep, if I'm correct?
Yes.
Yeah. I thought
Yes,
so.
sir.
Of the Pillsbury Doughboy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Get it out. Go ahead. Rip it off. Let's see it. Can you get your arm up that high?
Probably not. There's a tattoo there. That's good enough.
Okay. Well, we'll believe
Otherwise, I got to get undressed.
it. Watch for further episodes.
We'd have to rate this a little bit differently
Watch for
then.
further
And it might be on my right arm,
tattoo.
too. I'm not sure.
So do you want to kind of talk about history, just, how NJK got started, how you got in the construction industry? Is this something you always wanted to do?
I wouldn't say that, but had to start working when I was at a young age and had a guy in town by the name of Jeff Lindsley that kind of was a big buyer, obviously Drexel from Joel's dad, Albert, and that's kind of how I got my start at about probably 15 years old, and saw that there was an opportunity to make quite a bit of money, at that age, and got good at it. And when I was 22, 22 years old, I moved on to my own business.
Okay, so that's when NJK started then.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it should be at 20, what would that be, 22 years, roughly?
You're pretty old.
Yeah.
I guess, what have you kind of learned through that whole process? Obviously, you had the interest, talking about the money, but then you take over from, and again, 22 years, we could spend a lot of time on a podcast with that, but what have you learned over 22 years in that industry, in the industry?
It was obviously, building back then was way different than, it was like a McDonald's menu. You got a 1 through 6 kind of house, and that was it.
Yep.
It was either a ranch or a 2-story, and then it evolved into split ranches, became popular, which are still popular. 2 stories are a little more elaborate. A lot of times in the beginning there was no bathrooms upstairs, and that's a must now. Now we're at just trying to keep things into the $550,000 range for affordability. So that's a whole different step.
$1 million house was unheard of 22 years ago. Just unheard of.
Yeah.
$1 million house is a beautiful, beautiful new house, but by no means is it a castle.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right, that's true.
And with the market being high right now, I think the market plays a huge role. For me, it has anyways, obviously everybody, but on how you approach getting work and how when you meet with customers, trying to figure out what they want to spend and where they're at, and sometimes...
Specifically, you're saying the housing market, not the stock market, right?
Yeah, correct.
Market,
right?
Right.
The housing market, not the stock market.
Right.
Just with, when the market's hot like it is still now, it kind of changes where price points are with different things, and trying to work with, lumber, obviously Drexel, with trying to get things in, like stocking LP right now. I'm a huge fan of that, by the way.
Awesome. We are too. It's working great.
I think that's a real big, not to jump ahead, but that's a big part of building now. And I'd say 90% of the houses are LP. And we get to the end and we're short, a square or two, which is inevitable. Now I don't have to worry about restock charges. I can get it on right now, finish the job, and the price point's way better.
Way better. Yeah, more of that to come.
Yeah, so
that doing that more and more.
Anytime you can eliminate that kind of stuff, it helps me out big time. So we're not, instead of having 8 jobs going on at once, maybe can have 4 and be able to wrap them up a little sooner because the banks will hold money on you if, some of the front door's not in or the posts aren't wrapped because we ran out of LP. Some banks are pretty touchy with that, and then you're waiting longer to get paid, which means Drexel's longer to get paid and anybody else.
That's a good way to think about it. It's a cash flow problem, really.
Yeah, 100%.
I guess you're talking about 90% of those jobs nowadays have the LP. Is there any other type of common trends that you see now? You were talking about, obviously, about the bathrooms upstairs, right? Past wasn't a thing. Now it's like you see it all the time. It has to be something in there. Is there anything you see that's a current trend that you're like, yep, this is something that's newer that everybody wants as opposed to what would have been in the past?
Well, definitely the open concept. I don't know if I don't think I've built a house in probably 8 or 10 years without the whole living room and kitchen definitely being wide open.
Sure.
Breakfast nooks. I think that's a no-brainer. I mean, anytime we remodel, that's what the first thing we do is open
everything up.
Open everything up.
Natural light.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest ones is tiled showers and tiled bathrooms. That was pretty unheard of 22 years ago to spend $50,000 on a tiled shower / master bath. Again, now absolutely standard. Everything tiled in there. It's a $50,000, $100,000 spend just on that bathroom. Interesting trend.
Yeah.
And very complicated bathrooms.
There's a huge demand. I mean, Drexel now selling tile and having installers is a good thing, but there's a huge demand for it. Yeah, I could literally have a guy on my crew probably just doing tile showers.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah, and that
because
also
they're very labor intensive. I mean, you will have one person there. It's hard to have more than one because they're in a shower.
Yeah,
they'll be there for 2 weeks.
Oh, at least.
Yeah.
It can be frustrating with the finish end. I got 2 really good finish guys between Drew Lickensteiger and Rick Surway, and
shout out to them.
And if the tile guys are tile guys, they got a little different personality of their own usually, and they take a little longer. And it's something I'm looking into is having maybe starting our own, being able to install our own. And then there's just like Corian showers. We're just doing one right now in Barton. I have no experience with it right now, but basically the panels come. It's like an onyx.
Yeah, so it's a big. It's like a countertop vertical.
Correct. Yeah.
So we're looking at a whole bunch. Actually, we're reviewing that right now in research and development, and LVP, like using an LVP style product in the shower, which would go so much quicker and would bring the cost way down. Which again, price of housing is soaring. We got to figure out these showers. A traditional porcelain tile grouted just ain't it. It just isn't. It's not. It's so putsy and so expensive, and the homeowners want a specific look, but they're paying for a look that they don't need to pay for. I think there's got to be alternate options, which is a Corian or a solid surface or LVP component. And for you in the flooring industry, I apologize. I know I'm not saying those terms right, but those kind of things, that's got to start taking over the market, I have a feeling. Sooner than later. Because no one's going back to modular showers in a custom home. But we got to figure that out.
I agree. I have 2 tile showers at my house, and I'm hoping with this new style, like what we're, things we're already researching, things I'm going to do. I mean, cleaning them is horrible. Anybody can tell you that, especially when you have like my one shower has a rock pan, like little rocks in it. Looks like you're standing on rocks.
Seemed cool at the time.
Horrible to clean. Like it's so hard to clean. And
you can't remodel. You can't fix them. If something goes out, you're kind of starting over.
Yeah.
There's nothing to take out and replace.
Can't do it.
Yeah, I mean, even I got little LED lights in mine, and you got your fixtures, and it's kind of is what it is. I mean, ours is 15 years old, and it's showing wear and tear, but you're like, I'm not bringing in sledgehammers here.
Yeah, I guess I should have started off with this, but in terms of your business...
That was total sidebar.
No,
so bringing it back on track. We're 20 minutes in talking about route.
In terms of your business, I mean, how many new homes are you doing a year as opposed to remodels and stuff like that? Obviously, it probably varies a little bit, but typically, what's kind of the difference there?
For me right now, the magic number is probably 7 to 10 new homes a year.
Sure.
And then sprinkle in some deck work, a remodel or 2. used to do a lot of roofs, kind of getting out of that. That's not my cup of tea anymore, and I don't know if my guys really always want to do it either. But, you know, in 08, that's what we had to do.
Sure.
So, but, yeah, new homes, as long as I can have one or two going on at the same time, for me, that's perfect.
Yep.
It's when you get too many at the same time is when it gets to be a little more difficult.
Yeah, what's the most challenging thing you've had to do on a job site?
Do on what?
Most challenging thing you had to do on a job site?
Oh, how long you want to talk? I'd say the most challenging thing is weird as it sounds, is communication. Communication's gotten so much better with text, email, and all that, but then the problem is it becomes so instantaneous. You know, I think kids are growing up that they get everything so instantaneous. It's been a trend for a while. So then when they're not getting an answer immediately, like some of us aren't going to be able to give them, ultimately, sometimes I can't even, if I don't get back in a 24-hour span, I'll call that potential client, and it's already there talking to somebody else. You know, and I just think it's a challenge, because you're on a job and you're doing this, and you say, okay, I'll get back to that person tonight, and it's impossible for me to have just someone doing that right now.
Right.
You know, all day, every day, because it's not that often, but that's...
Well, you think of somebody like yourself that, quote-unquote, still wears a tool belt as they build through the day, correct? So if you think about Nick's life, right, and it is, communication's got to be just, I don't know how you guys do it. I have so much respect for you guys. Like, he's literally working on your house during the day, but yet bills need to be paid, communication, subs need to be hired, and then communications need to be found, and then the next job needs to be found within that. So it's like, Nick, why weren't you at my site today? Well, I have to find new work as well, but I also have to pay your bills. I also have to get back to you. I also have more jobs going on than one. But also there are days that I'm on your site. It's from a builder's perspective, not to speak for Nick, but they don't have office hours either, right? So at 7 o'clock at night, I just thought of this. Oh my gosh, yeah, I want a garbage disposal in my sink. Did we put one in the basement, right? I just talked to a buddy, and they're like, whatever you do, put a garbage disposal in your basement, because we shoot lemons all the time, and you're going to want that. Is that in the basement? So they think of it, they text you, and like Nick said, response time on text, they'll probably be talking about that at work a lot. Honestly, people are probably looking on a text response within an hour.
Yeah.
With an email and a voicemail, you probably have a day to respond. If they send you a text, you probably got an hour to respond before somebody's kind of like, what the hell's going on?
Right.
And that's, so when is his office hours? When can he turn it off and say, I'll get to you tomorrow? And without offending the person that you're working on a $500,000 house with. So got to be a challenge for you, Nick, I assume.
It is, and it's something actually that I bring up in pre-meetings, and I was talking to Marcus here about, like, I start a group text right away between the husband and the wife, so I don't have the partners in life or whoever's building it, so that the communication isn't. I'm here.
No, whatever you said about green, ignore it.
It's very challenging. And like I said, I tell them, I encourage them to text me on weekends, even though it seems awkward. I just tell them, because sometimes they'll have that idea, like you said, come up on a Saturday. Yeah. So it's like, text me, but then if I read it, I'll try to mark it back as unread, so then I'll remember to deal with it on Monday, or I'll email that message from my text to my email,
right.
So then I remember it.
Kind of as your to-do list, right.
Right, but I also tell them I'm probably not responding.
Right.
Sure.
So
I do think early communication and concise communication of how communication is going to work is super important.
Yeah, it's
even back from builder to Drexel. It's like, this is how how often do you want me to get back to you? If you text me your order, can you give me an hour, or do you want like 7 minutes? Like, where are we at? That's why we talk about it at work. It's like, when a builder texts you, how much time do you have? Right? Let's be clear, right? And I'm like, you probably have an hour or less. Builder's like, hey, I need some 2x4s out here. You can't be like, well, I was in a meeting. It's not going to work for a builder. So we try to train to that and talk about that at our development.
Yeah.
It's got to be, I would assume, 60 times what I'm dealing with, with it.
Well, not really. We've been, right, Nick's been buying from us for 22 years, so you've been through it. And we went from a commission-based company with a lot of our salesmen having 100 accounts, literally, to now our salesmen having less than 10, typically. much more manageable. When you have 100 accounts, yeah, I mean, good luck even getting a response. Like, you almost had to wake your salesman up, like, I'm not kidding, respond.
Right.
And again, not their fault. They had 100 accounts. They were commission-based, being non-commission-based. Hopefully, you're seeing the level of responsiveness rise. I mean, that was the goal with them going non-commission-based. Because it was driving me nuts. Because I talked to a builder, like, well, how's their service? He'd be like, well, everything's good, but our salesman doesn't respond. But they're like, I get it, they're busy. And I'm like, that's embarrassing.
Yeah. So not to change topics completely, but
Sure.
I know having you on,
But we are.
We wanted, but sidebar, we wanted to talk about youth sports. Obviously, you're a youth sports guy. Joel's got plenty of experience with youth sports.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen Millie, his daughter, play lots of times. Talented young lady, plays 3 sports.
Yep. Yeah, this year she played basketball.
A rare 3-sport athlete in this day and age, so very cool.
Yeah, what was kind of the premise of idea? Was there a specific topic with youth sports you wanted to dive into? Or
I think we both have. I think Nick going through it with Millie, and he also has a little company that we want to talk about. We're seeing the good and bad of it, right? From I tell a lot of the young dads that are all fired up, I'm like, just relax. It's gonna. I used to be you. Relax. So many different avenues to go with. Let's talk a little bit about your company that you started.
Oh, so we started Aftermath Sports. I basically built a really large shop that was going to be part for NJK. Part of it was going to get rented out to a mason, and then I was going to be about 40 by 60 left for a batting cage and stuff like that.
A little selfish reasons. Shout out to Millie, right? I mean, you got a daughter that's very active.
I had a daughter. I was very active, and I kind of looked at it as like, we're trying to get her in. She at that point she was doing quite a bit of pitching and trying to get her, run her down to West Bend or Mequon, and it became a lot. And I'm like, why do we not have at least? Basically, it started out as somewhere for these girls to pitch, just to have that. And then she was with West Bend Lightning at that time, and they kind of said, well, we'd be interested in renting out your whole facility, and that's when I kind of like took the extra, so it ended up becoming 70 by 60.
Okay.
Well, so what is that, 4,300 square feet? And I built another garage behind it for the mason that was going to rent. So it kind of blew up before it started. And ever since then, it's gotten stronger and stronger and stronger.
So how does it work? Like, if somebody's listening, like, that's interesting. How do I contact you? What does it mean? I'm a coach, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, so I hired Brittany. Well, she was Brittany Narger. She's Brittany Bengal now. We talked about her before. Without her, it wouldn't work. Like, she's
your scheduler coordinator.
She does everything.
Okay.
Her and the Lindley mower helps her out with some stuff too. But
So actually, Nick Nargis' sister.
Oh yeah, there you go. Shout out to all of them.
Yeah. Nick works here. Yep. So she coordinates. She's got everything set up. She set everything up. People can book online. Whether they want, so we ended up having 2 cages, and then we have a 30
So
by.
a mom and a daughter could rent it, or a team can rent it.
Yeah.
Or a private coach can rent it.
Anybody. Yep. And it's basically very, very, very simple from that aspect point. It's based off $25 to $30 an hour. I think we're at 30 now. And for $30, you come in there for an hour with your kid. You can do whatever you like. If you want to work on fielding, if you want to work on hitting.
Play cribbage, whatever.
Yeah, parents might want to do that too. Sometimes that might be a good choice.
Do you have like an infield then with field turf kind of thing then?
It's not a full infield
Sure.
though, but you can work on all the normal drills, the small stuff.
Yeah.
It's basically meant for hitting, pitching,
Okay.
type of thing.
So let me ask you a question, because we've had these conversations. So to help mark us out a little bit.
Mhm.
So if you could talk to yourself when Millie was 8, and a little bit background on Millie, she's a wonderful, wonderful girl. I love her. I've seen her out there, and I see the effort she gives. I've watched every volleyball game she did at her freshman year, because my daughter was a senior. And she just plays with energy and confidence and pride. But at 8 years old, she was, I would consider, elite. And not that you're not anymore, Millie, if you're listening to this. But she's calmed down. She's not going to play for Alabama. Like the reality sets in. But at 8, she was elite. Like, you didn't know the level she was going to be at, and you were excited. She was excited. Your mom, Amy, was excited, right? Or they still are. But reality kind of sets in, and she's not 6'1". She's looks a little bit more like Doughboy. I don't mean it that way, Millie. You're beautiful. Not like your dad.
She gets mad about her height.
Yeah, I mean that's just reality, right? She should. Like it's what God made her. So if you could talk to yourself when Millie was 8, what would you tell that dad that maybe that dad didn't know?
That's an interesting.
Sit down having a beer with that dad, and you're like,
yeah.
Hey, doughboy, this is what's going to happen, buddy. This is what you need to what you need to learn.
I think it's the best way to put it would be unrealistic expectations, but I don't feel like I ever really had that much to a degree. I was around it already at Millie being 8. I mean, I coached her in T-ball, which, to be honest with you, was maybe the best times I've ever had. It was so simple, and so that just kids playing in the sand. And again, though, like Joel said, you have a Millie or a McKenna there at that time. They're heads and tails above anybody. It's not even close, But they're also maybe have parents that are working with them more or whatever it may be. But the unrealistic expectation is the biggest thing, because you see some parents that have the Alabama or the Texas Tech thing on their mind already, and that's not good for the kids, because now at Millie's age, what I'm seeing is some of those kids dropping off.
Sophomore.
Millie's a sophomore, yeah.
Just so you know. Yeah.
So 8 years now,
right.
And back then everybody was going to be a pitcher. Everybody was this. Everybody was that. Well, her sophomore class in softball now, I think we're down to maybe 4 or 5 girls total, so roughly. I could be wrong on that. Maybe 6. Mm-hmm. Where back then we had probably 30 type of thing. So I don't think all of that is because of unrealistic expectations, but I do believe it is a big contributor to it.
Sure.
I think kids maybe get burnt out. That's why I'm a very big, huge advocator actually on multi-sports. Like I could talk all day long about that. I think it's a big deal. I mean, watching the draft.
Okay, I'm going to fight you on that. Like, let's debate that, right?
All right.
I saw you put watching the draft. Yeah, but they're freaks. Like, the people in the drafts are absolute naturally gifted freaks. They're the one in a million. Billy Shroud here in Campbellsport.
Multisport athlete.
Right, but Billy was a multi-sport athlete because he was a freak. And again, what does multi-sport athlete mean? Because he actually wasn't in high school. In high school, he actually only did football. He did not do basketball. Mm-hmm. And he didn't do baseball. He really did focus on football. And again, not to pick on Billy.
When he got to
high school.
So
again, there's levels of multi-sport.
Yes.
I do think it's passion and talent. Find what you're good at. Don't over-focus on one sport. And again, it all is back to, if your son and daughter want to do a different sport, great. If they don't, you don't have to do multi-sports. They're great at multi-sports in the NFL because if you look at their mom and dad, again, expectations, I'm obsessed with that. I always try to look at their moms and dads.
Me too.
LSU track star, grandpa, won World War II because he carried 8,000 pounds on his back. I mean, these people come from genetically freaky, the Knippel family, like legendary basketball superstars. Yeah, their kid's really good at basketball. Like, shocker, right? Like, so there's levels of genetics to that go with it that just God given. I mean, it's no different than being good at math. My dad is a wizard at math. Most of his grandkids are wizards of math. I don't care how much you practice, how much you train, how much you push somebody to be good at math. My dad's going to be better. And he just never, he graduated high school with a C average. Like, he's good at friggin' math. Like, don't push him. It doesn't mean he's good at calculus. It just means he's good at, like, wizardry, easy math. Mm-hmm. And you can't teach that. Like sports, you just can't teach necessarily. You can't. I think one of the fallacies that and I don't know how you get away from that because it's a beautiful thing. Hey, buddy, if you work hard enough, you can be anybody you want. It's kind of like Santa Claus. And Santa Claus is real if you're listening under 12. But it's kind of like Santa Claus. Like, you can't tell kids that. They can be the best. When I coached, I tried to get to the point where I said, I'm going to coach you to the best of your ability. Like, I'm going to squeeze all the juice out of your lemon, and that might be a JV player. That might mean you're a bench player on varsity. That might mean you're a varsity starter. That might mean you play at Marion, and that might mean you quit next year because you're like, I can't catch the ball. I don't know what that is for you, but let's try to get the best of your ability. Or at least, again, have fun. Because at the end of the day, what are we doing here? Even if you play in college, end of the day, then you're 22 and you don't play anymore. There's always an end game here. So, what's your end game? Sorry, keep going, Nick.
You're fine. Back to the unrealistic expectations. So, like, we talked my daughter quite a bit, and like Joel had said, she's a talented young lady. If she was 6'1",
and works harder than anybody. Like, she busts her ass. I mean, I know she trains at our gym in Kewaskum, and I mean, she just shows up. Like, she just shows up, good attitude, positive, right? She works so hard. Keep going.
And unfortunately, she's 5'3", 5'4", and that's going to get you. Our goal is like an Oshkosh, to maybe go to college, obviously, and play, or something of that. That is,
and that's a big deal.
That's
what people don't understand is like,
right.
Oh, Oshkosh, really, Millie? That's a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Like D3, playing at D3, you're still a dudette. Like, you're still good.
But that's where it goes back to that. If you set those unrealistic expectations at a young age, then you get to the point where it's like, oh, my daughter hasn't grown as big as we thought she was, whatever. Then it's, oh, all that's calling is UW Oshkosh? Because, again, you've had this fakeness in your mind.
And did you enjoy any of it? Like,
right.
Did we ever just say, like,
yeah.
you beat Winneconne last night, you were 2 for 4, that was pretty cool. Like, do you ever just, like, oh.
Let's slow it down, right?
Yeah, that was fun. We had fun. It's over. Like, right? Enjoy it. Really enjoy the ride. I just don't see enough people enjoying the ride,
Nah, so I coached football too, Marcus, and Joel knows, for a long time. I got into it when I was probably
high school level,
right? When I was 22, and been bouncing a little bit back and forth.
I've seen Nick Kreif lose his mind on the field, and probably not a way that you're proud of. That made me laugh.
Yeah, I get a little competitive with that, but let's just put it this way. I coached for a long time, so hundreds and probably thousands of kids, actually, obviously. And we've had some really good teams, like really, really good teams. We've had some okay teams. We have some not so good teams.
And you've coached at Kewaskum, Campbellsport,
and Random Lake.
And Random, right? So again,
and Random Lake.
You've been around the block.
Been around, yeah. That's about the big as my block can be, though. Otherwise,
it's a small block, but it's a block.
Can't go much further. It's not realistic to drive that far. Not for $3,500, but out of all those kids, I've never had a D1 like a full like a Oklahoma or
like
Alabama.
Billy Shrout again, not
like a Billy Shrout, perfect example.
And if you don't know Billy Shrout, he plays guard for Notre Dame.
Yep.
6'7", 6'8", 330.
Yep.
His dad Chipper's about the same size. His brother Sam's about the same size.
Yep.
I sat behind him in church a year ago. After church, I said, I can't believe that pew made it through church. I prayed for that pew the whole time. I didn't think it was going to make it. They're big dudes.
But out of all that talent, not one was a D1 all the way through. And I would say maybe 5.
Who's the best kids you coached? Just go ahead and name them.
Best names. Kid?
Who's the best kids? Like, give me your top 5. Like, who's when I say of the 1,000 football dudes you coached, right, or 500, name your 5 favorite / best. I have them in my brain. I already know who you're going to say, so I want to know.
You're going to get me in trouble.
That's
between
okay.
Campbellsport and Kewaskum?
No, yeah. No, I think it's okay. I think once they graduate, you can throw names.
Well, a first one that comes to my mind is actually Tim Whitty, which is Nick Whitty's brother.
Okay.
Because he was my first.
I don't think he ever played in college.
No.
Right, so think of that, right?
He was very, very good, and he was like my first quarterback.
And
so
shout out for Nick Whitty, who was a great athlete as well
yes.
for Campbellsport. So good team. Good
and yeah, Tim never, I don't believe at all. Yeah. Brandon Thal, running back in Kewaskum.
You can still YouTube video Brandon. He's got like 8 gazillion views on one crazy.
Oh, that crazy run, yeah.
Nintendo run. I was there that night.
Yeah, I don't know. Was that the game where? I don't know if that's the game where he rushed for like 450.
8 million yards. Oh, that seemed like every game, but that was.
Oh, look at that! That comes right up.
Yeah, well, he's got like 8 gazillion views on it. It went on. It's not.
You ever see this?
Go to YouTube. It's got way more views on YouTube. Okay. Anyways, keep going. You got 2.
Okay, I'm at 2. I'll combine 2 and 1. There's the Almazi brothers, Kewaskum. Their dad owns Sal's Pizza.
That's not even close to the one. That's not the play either.
No, this is just.
Go back. Go like Nintendo game, Kewaskum, football, something like that. You'll just keep doing it as we talk.
I don't even remember playing Campbell.
Oh, it's just Campbell Sport versus Kewaskum.
Oh, it was Campbell Sport. Oh, okay.
Did you coach Tony Steger?
That he's on my list.
I thought, yeah. Okay. Well,
Best run of the year, this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is.
But it's got an ESPN. There's one of the views. This is it for sure. Yeah. If you're not watching it, he runs to the right. Watch this, Marcus. I still can't believe it.
Who was that against?
Brandon Thal.
That's Brandon Thal.
I'm not sure who they were playing against, but that was a crazy.
Oh, that was a big game.
Yeah, that was huge.
Berlin.
That was actually a huge
conference championship game.
That was actually a really big point of the game.
Yep.
That was a kid that did outwork everybody. He was not that great at gridiron and just busted his ass to get where he had to go. So, cool kid, amazing guy. Yeah, but anyways.
So I want to pull the Almazi brothers together. Both of them, I believe, tried to go to Oshkosh and play football. You want to talk about work ethic and desire, and just probably two of the best human beings I've ever coached.
Balls out.
Very nice kids, very respectful. I think Dad's very strict with them at home. Like I said, he owns Sal's Pizza in West Bend.
Which just goes to show you pizza's healthy.
Amen. Amen, I would say that.
And I would say the last two, and I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody here, but would be definitely Michael Prochnow and Tony Steger.
Two Kewaskum guys. Coach Prochnow is a teacher at Kewaskum, and then Tony works here.
Did you?
Tony has 22 conference championships.
Really?
He's the best player. I've said he's the best player male at least, to come through Kewaskum ever, without a doubt. It's 22. That can't be right. That cannot be right. There's 4 sports. You went to state 4 years in a row, and shout out to Tony Shedmon, just talk about it. 4 years in a row in track.
Yeah.
He was all first team all conference baseball, and I believe they won conference all 4 years he was in baseball.
Yep.
I think it was 3 out of 4 in football.
Yep.
He was first team all state
football.
So that's how many? And then what sport am I missing? He
He
did not play basketball, so that was I'm way off on 22.
Oh, he's not a real athlete then. So anyway.
Right. No, I actually kick his ass at basketball. So
did you coach? Because what's his face was at Kewaskum and then played at North Dakota State. Eric Perkins, right?
Yes. Yeah, that would be when I said a handful I was getting to, that made it at a high level, like D1A.
Yeah.
I would say the highest two that I was a part of. I didn't really, when I got to Kewaskum, Eric Perkins was a senior, so I was just...
You didn't have heavy influence over
I didn't have a heavy influence there. But Cade Peterson...
which was in Tony Stoger's...
He went to North Dakota, I believe.
North Dakota State as well.
1A. Yeah. And he went all the way through he was a punter, kicker.
Yeah, unbelievably great punter, but unbelievably great athlete. He's a punter, but you think he's like a 5'10".
He can run track,
and jacked, and he's a dude. Yeah,
I would say them two... over the last 20 years, probably had the highest achievements in football.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
Yeah,
in college. So I mean, Brandon had some unfortunate, with his knee.
But that's how life goes too.
That's how it works, right?
He blew his knee last game of the season for Kewaskum, and then went to South Dakota, and then blew it out again. Crazy. That's just how life goes, though. Again, in God's will.
Yeah.
Amor fati. You know what that means? Amor fati. I've been thinking about it all week.
Is that like a Cinco de Mayo thing, or what?
It's like a Cinco de Mayo. Or you can drink to it, I guess. Amor fati, it goes back to, bring it up. It goes back to the Stoics. Amorfati. Amor fati. And it goes back to the Stoics, the Latin phrase.
Love of fate?
It's not from Nietzsche. It's the love of fate, which just simply means no matter what happens to you, that you just love the fate. You love the grind, you love the energy, and you realize every story has tragedy and trauma and pain, and it's just leaning into the love of fate.
Interesting.
Which is go back to your sport. No matter what happens, love the game. If you love the game, love the game. If you're sitting on the bench and you love the game, love the game. If Millie loves it, just let her love it.
Yeah.
Man, I struggle with that, right? It's just as a coach or a dad, it's love of fate. Whatever your fate is, you suck. It is what it is. You're hitting 250. So be it, man. Yep. You got one shot. You got one high school career. I see so many seniors burned out. They just burn out and they do not enjoy their senior season. I'm like, dude, you got 7 games left. Forever. Mm-hmm. You're never going to do this again. No one's ever going to come to your game again.
Right.
Nobody. This is it. Coach ain't playing me enough. Our team sucks. Yeah, that's probably all true, but you got 7 games left. So,
and
it's even in business, right? Love of fate. We are who we are. Should have we spent somebody else? Could have we done better? I'm going to wake up tomorrow and enjoy tomorrow because, stuff happens.
Yep.
Yeah. Back to that, I think this is definitely not about Millie, but so my daughter went out for basketball this year. First time she's gone out for basketball since Holy Trinity. So she had at least a 2 or 3 year break. And I think she kind of had fun with it. Like, it wasn't the star.
And they were horrible.
They were not good.
And they won like 2 games. So again, not only was she on a team where she wasn't the best player, she also was not on a good team, but she keep going.
Yeah, I think she had fun with it. It was, her, in volleyball, she's a setter, kind of a main type of.
Started her freshman year. It's a big deal. Kewaskum volleyball is a big deal in that town.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of pressure on her. I've seen that from day one with her. Like, a lot of focus goes on Millie.
She puts it on herself, too, and I think a lot of kids do that, too.
Well,
if anybody can ever...
If they feel it from other people, and then they put it on themselves, and then it almost doubles. It almost multiplies.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm so glad you brought that up, because the biggest fight if I could do all over again, and I don't even know how I would do it over, and I don't know how to give that advice to somebody, is when you have a kid that puts pressure on themselves. It's a really hard gig to try to get them to stop doing that. This has been something me and my Amy, Millie's mom, have been working on for like 6 years, and everybody's like, "Well, you should love that they care so much." Well, there's a fine line too, and I think it becomes going to church on Sunday and walking out and being like, "Oh, Millie, you're amazing." That stuff goes to their head, and then they feel like they have to be amazing, and then that person saying it is just trying to be nice, but it has a direct effect. Am I not wrong?
No, it just has to. It just all kind of snowballs within you. But let's go talk about business and life. It's the same thing in business. Somebody told me once, like, the cool thing about you, Joel, it seems like you care more than anybody that works at Drexel. But yet, in the same way, in a different conversation, you seem like you care less than anybody at Drexel. They're like, that's kind of your secret sauce. And I'm like, yeah, I'll go bartend if this doesn't work out. And I don't, Nick and I have known each other forever. And Nick, you've known me forever, so you know how intense I was and how demanding I was.
Each other.
Yeah, we did. We played little hoops. Wow, that's way back.
Believe it or not,
Nick was.
I was about 40 pounds less.
Nick was about as good as Millie. Take that for whatever it is in basketball.
I could shoot. That was it.
Yeah, you could shoot a little bit. I didn't guard you, but he's like, shoot it, I guess. Whatever. Don't worry.
All you had to do is force Joel right. He had no right hand. He's all left.
That's true. But now I just shoot. I don't even dribble, so the kids wouldn't even know that about me. But yeah, shoot, I never had. You didn't have. If I'm that good at my left, I didn't need to develop it right. So I was going with that. It's kind of like back in life. You knew how intense I was 22 years ago, and how intense you were. But it's almost to the point that you just want to be authentic and real, where I don't care. Like, I'll call, like, who's gonna, and Nick, you were a hothead. Like, you were nuts. Like, you're still nuts. Like it would be like, well, who's going to tell that to Doughboy? He's going to freak out. Like, Chuck's going to get involved, and, like, it's going to be really bad. Right? And 22 years ago when he got in business, and I would have been, in my 20s, late 20s probably back then. I mean, I'm super old, but, right, I would have been like, frick, I got to call stupid Doughboy, and it's going to be bad, and right? I mean, you had those, and you're like, I got to call stupid Joel, and it's going to be bad. But that's how it was. Well, it still is. Again, it still is. I think you and I have matured where it's like, I'll call Nick. I don't care. I have enough trust with Nick that I know we're going to work through it. So it's a built-up relationship. That's part of it. Mm-hmm. But also it's the realization of, like, it just is what it is, Nick. Like, Joel, you got to get these doors in a week. There's nothing. You have to, right? And then I'd be like, Nick, they're going to be 7 weeks, dude. Breathe. No one died. Like, I'm way better at having those conversations now than I was.
Me too.
Which is back to Amor, the love of faith, realistic expectations. Like what the kids do to themselves, we do ourselves in business as well, right? We're going to do the perfect build. Like, okay.
Never.
Right. But again, we know that now. When you were 22.
Never knew that.
But when you were 22, you would have been like, yes, Joel, the next job's going to go perfect. Or I'm not going to use Drexel anymore or Campbellsburg Williamsville anymore. And I've been like, you're not wrong. It'll go perfect, Nick. I promise you. We got your back. And you're like, you better. And that was our relationship. And that's, I think, we're just more wiser now. It just becomes wise where you're like, yeah, something's bad's going to happen at the job. Call me. We'll fix it. Tell the homeowner we're sorry.
I mean, I think having children humbles you in that aspect too a little bit. Don't you think?
Life.
Just going through things.
Life, children, age. Your hair. I mean.
Yeah,
drinking single malt whiskey, sitting in a little conference room, whatever. Life humbles you, man, right? Like it's reality.
Yeah.
40 pounds later, whatever.
I guess to finish up, Nick, what is your billboard? You got one billboard with anything on it. You can say whatever you want. Everyone's seeing it.
It's funny. It's very funny that what I was going to say is like almost a direct reflection of a lot of the things we talked about today. It's very simple. Less is more. Less is more. I say it a lot. I use it a lot. We're running a tournament this year at Columbus Park. Kevin Sykes helping me out with that.
Who is the captain of settle down, relax.
Yeah.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Less is more. Yeah.
Right.
Shout out to Kevin if you're watching, and I mean that.
But less is more, and I think that would be a really good billboard because of the imagination that comes from it. Like, what does that mean, right? Does that mean if I don't practice ever, I'm going to be a better athlete? Well, no, that's not what that means. But it's kind of like the best way I could put
more focused practice will make you better. So in that way, yes, like you said, the imagination goes in. Less is more.
Yes.
Do the most basic drills 1,000,000 times. Don't do the YouTube videos. Don't try to fix your swing.
Yes.
Find the same groove. Find the same plane. Trust it. And then, yes, do the micro little drill 8 million boring times. So less is more. But keep going. Sorry.
Yeah. No, like my best way of, like, you just gave a perfect example, but mine would be like from a restaurant standpoint. I think just to get everybody to understand where I'm coming from.
Who Nick also owned a restaurant and a bar at one
point.
point.
I don't want to go back to those days.
Cully's, right here.
Right here, actually.
Now I own the building.
Yeah, right.
Because you never owned the building, you rented it.
I rented it.
But now I own it.
I went to Wacusta. You should have bought Wacusta, but
yeah.
Dean beat you to it.
Even worse, maybe, or better. Who knows, right?
I don't want to. Why'd you have to bring that up? But no.
Less is more.
Kind of like, when you get to a restaurant, and we actually had these talks when I owned the bar, but if you have 4 things that are really good, it's better than having 8 things that are just average.
Yep.
And I think that's a good way of thinking about it in all kinds of things, whether it's product sometimes, whether it's me building houses. Do I want to build 8 houses and do it really good, or do I want to build 12 and somewhat half-ass it?
Yep.
If that makes sense.
I think hobbies, personally, right? Like focus on what you're good at, what God made you good for. We do it at work all the time with Less is More currently. With that, I'm in charge, and I hope you're seeing that Blue Door products. We don't need 300 colors of carpet. We can show 300s. If you want green, we can get green. We have 8. We have an amazing 8. We buy a ton of them. They're really inexpensive because we buy so much, and we work with the manufacturers that we're going to buy so much, and that's good. That's good enough. Like, that's good for 99% of the people that we deal with. Like, it's Wisconsin homes. Like, do you want gray or beige or brown? And we have 2 variations of all of them, and it's your carpet. And they're amazing. They're great carpets. So less is more in so many ways, and leave your chances to breathe. Cancel, and you don't have to do all that. And I know you've cut back as well, Nick. Like, you don't have to be as social as you think you need to be either. Pick and choose your weekends. Like, your weekend's your weekend. You don't have to go to the 4 parties. You don't have to go to any of them. Pick and choose your friends. Like, less is more, even as far as friends, at least for me later in my life. Like, I probably don't have as many friends as I used to have. I'm not saying I'm being a jerk, but
just selective.
Yeah,
choose your time. Less is more.
Yeah, absolutely.
And be where you are. I
forgot to talk to you about. Are we out of time or
we
not?
can do it. It's our podcast. Do whatever. It's your podcast. We can go on for
the one
hour.
thing that with the youth sports thing, and I thought, and I wanted to. It came to my mind right now.
That's perfect.
I'm sure everybody saw what happened in the Bucks game the other night with Giannis and Tyler Halliburton.
Yep.
What happened right there is a direct reflection of what's wrong with youth sports. That dad was completely out of line.
Right.
And what you see in there on the big stage is something that me, Eric Back, Chris Savage, Tim Better, anybody that is affiliated with sports on weekends, whether you're in Kansas City or Eau Claire, that right there we see every weekend from someone's parent, from Minnesota or Indiana.
Let your child have their career. You already lived your career.
But I think that's when I wanted to get through on the youth sport thing. You're seeing that happen now because that dad, and I'm not trying to put words in whatever, but there's a good chance he's done that before.
He's still living through his son.
Yes.
100%. And he's very proud of it. And again, he should
And that's
be
a problem.
But he should be on some levels. But again, he took it too far that night and probably has before.
Yep.
And honestly, on youth level, we're seeing that over and over again.
All
I've
the
coached
time.
1,000 teams. Just let your kid play. And honestly, if you want to volunteer, then get in charge. If not, just let the game play out. And give yourself a 24-hour cool-off period.
That's what we
to
have.
your parents, but also to the coach, but also to your child.
Mm-hmm.
Like one of the best advice was when you get in the car, the only thing you should be able to say is, "I loved watching you play, son," and then shut up. And trust me, that is hard.
Oh God,
that is hard. But that's what we should be doing. I loved watching you play because that's the truth.
Not you struck out. Hey, you struck out 17 kids tonight, or hey, you were 4 for 4. I literally do that all the time. Millie, good job tonight. Well, Dad, I made an error. I don't care. You did a good job.
Well, and I'm a hypocrite, right? So Marcus, who is like a coach on the court, and he's coached with me since he was birth, and it's my last kid. I'll be like, "Well, what were you thinking, dude? Like, what was that about?" Like, and he always remembers, right? I'll be like, "Well, when are you gonna figure that out, dude? Or what were you doing?" And my wife, Pam, God bless her, she'll be lighting me up. Like, can you give him one positive nugget? I'm like, he knows what he did. We're just talking, and I know sometimes I probably take it a little too far, but be careful with that. We'll leave it at that. Love you, man.
Yeah,
Thank you so much,
Yeah,
Nick.
that was great.
130.
One of the most local, better builders in the area, and been a customer of ours for over 20 years. You can't say that about. You can probably only say that about 50, 70 builders in the state. So you're one of the OGs, man. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Later, thank you.
130. We're up.
Thank you.